Hello, friends. I'm RJ Rajiv, and bringing you this live show after a long, long time. It just feels like कितना समय हो गया है आप लोगों से मुलाकात किए हुए, आप लोगों से बात किए हुए, आपसे रूबरू हुए हुए. तो आज मेरे को जो लेके आए हैं यहाँ पे, मैं कहूँगा लेके आए हैं because it's Praveen who has motivated me to get online. So Praveen, thank you so much for getting me out of my shell and getting on online after a long, long time.
Absolutely.
Let me do one thing. Make sure my Facebook setups are all set so that privacies are all good. And then if you need to share it, you can do that too.
Okay.
Give me 1 second.
Mm-hmm.
It's one of those things.
I know.
Okay.
Yeah, technology becomes more and more complicated, and like, where's that button gone? And they keep rearranging everything. And like, okay.
Okay. So Praveen, thank you so much for joining this show today. And first of all, I would like to introduce everyone why this show is happening, what is happening in this show. I'm extremely proud of Praveen because he's taken a step forward to run for the office for Board of Education, running for election for the Board of Education position. And I'm proud because this generation of Indians who are stepping in to take our voices into the system, into our government, and doing the things and doing it selflessly, right? You're putting your hard work, your money to do this thing. There are a number of reasons, I'm sure, and we will talk about it, why you're doing it. But first of all, congratulations for taking that step, taking that brave step to move forward to do this.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
It's a lot of work. It's a lot of work. I can see your hair growing back again.
Yeah. It's a lot of work. It's fun. Let me put it this way. I mean, I always like to have fun, and I like to have fun doing the right thing. And I thought this is one of those right things that we need to do. And as always, I'm still having fun.
So when did this light bulb go on, and you said, you know what, I want to run for the office, and why did you think about running for the office and to start with Board of Education?
So, I mean, as you said, we don't have a voice we don't have a voice today, and I'm running to make sure that we have a voice and that our priorities are being heard and our culture is being maintained. And that's one of the reasons I'm trying to run, is just to make sure that what is important to us gets implemented. Like for us, education is very important. I mean, you and I and I don't know, a whole bunch of us came here because we had very good education, and we moved to Howard County because of the school system. And that's why I say, like, hey, I got to run because there's a lot of stuff that's happening in the school system which is not right. And I wanted to kind of at least give it a try to fix what's wrong, and at least take it down the path, take it down the right path, which I think is the way we should go. I mean,
So how did you find out, or what instigated you to say this is not working right? This is something not going. I've been watching it. It's not getting fixed, and the only way I can do something about it is to run for the office, get into the system, and try to see if I can get my voice to fix it.
right, right. I mean, I've been involved in the community for a long time. I mean, I've been involved in the community as a part of Indian Origin Network of Howard County, which works closely with the Asian Indian community in Howard County. I've been, you know, member of the Democratic Central Committee, which is the smallest elected office that you can have. And I was just very close and involved in the community at various levels. And the more you involved you are, the more you understand what's actually happening in the community and what's happening with your taxes and what's happening around you and why are people happy or not happy. And so as I see that, one of the things which I saw was like most people I was talking to was like, hey, we came to Howard County and we're paying these high taxes in Howard County because we like the school system. But over the years, most people felt that the school system is not working as good as they had expected, or it's not working as good as it used to.
Mm-hmm.
For example, over 1,000 students have left the school system in the last 1 year and have gone to private schools.
Mm-hmm.
And when you go to private school, you're paying $20,000 out of your own pocket.
Correct.
And
Correct.
when you go to private school, when you go to the school system, it's free. So some people, about 1,000 people, feel that they spend their $20,000 is worth spending, is better spent by going to a private school, and yet they want to be in Howard County paying the higher taxes. So something is just not right. You move here because the school system is good, but then for some reason you find that it's good, not as good as it's supposed to be. So now I'm paying $20,000 out of my pocket to go. So we got to figure out why that is happening. I mean, if you're here and the public school system is supposed to be serving you, why are we not doing that?
So in your discussion, like irrespective of you running for the office or not running for the office, right now in your discussions with either the members who are part of the BOE right now or your friends who you are having discussions with, what is the input that is coming out which basically says what is not working? Why do they think it's not working, and what are the factors that are not working?
Uh, okay, let's just look at the impact, and then we'll go back and see why it's not working.
Sure. Yeah.
So the Howard County public school system has got a budget of about $1.5 billion, billion with the B.
B. Wow. That's a
$1.5
big
billion.
number. Yeah.
Yep, it's a huge number.
Yeah.
The operating budget is $1.15 billion, and 350 million is the capital budget, which is used for constructions and improvements. So the operating budget of $1.15 billion is not sufficient, and they are cutting a lot of programs. Some of the programs they're cutting is GT, which is gifted and talented, which is taking care of the top 10% of the schools. And then they're cutting the strings program, which is like a music program for the 3rd grade. And the amount of money they're trying to save by cutting the strings program is $795,000. Out of a budget of $1.15 billion, they say we got to cut the strings program to save $795,000. And they say we got to cut the GT program to save $1 million. So, so they're trying to save something which is less than 0.1% of the whole budget.
Mm-hmm.
And these are something which is what makes Howard County unique and well sought after. And they're cutting those things. So somewhere things are not going right.
Mm-hmm.
I don't understand. There's always a concern on the budget, but our priorities are not right because we're cutting stuff which are making us unique, and which makes us more coveted. And we are not able to take care of all the segments of the students. I mean, you here, the top 10% of the people are asking for like less than $1 million to get the GT program, and you're saying like, nah, I don't have money for that. And that's where I say like, hey, that is enough. I mean, we're just not focusing on the right things, and then that's what I decided to jump.
Okay. So now that you're jumping in and you're having a platform of making good of the things that you're seeing worrisome, and as you just mentioned, budget shortfall is one of those big factors.
Right.
And you very well mentioned that the item that they're going after is like just 0.1% of the B number, and we are not talking about $2 million of that B number, right? Just absolutely nonsensical thinking as such. And you're taking the big programs away for saving those $2. What are your thoughts? What are your plan on how do you plan to address the budget shortfall?
That's a great question. A couple of things we need to do is we need to do a bottom-up budgeting, which means we basically start at the very bottom and say like, hey, where am I spending every single dollar, and see whether do I really need to spend that dollar there. I mean, typically we do top-down budgeting, which basically says like, hey, last year you spent $10 million on this, and this year our budget is 4% more than that. So I'll give you 4% over $10 million because that's what everybody's getting. And a lot of times we don't really need that $10 million because things have changed. Technology is changing rapidly. Priorities are changing. So we got to do a bottom-up budgeting to figure out where are the inefficiencies in the system and cut that piece. So that's the first piece.
Mm-hmm.
The second piece I keep telling is we got to do multi-year budgeting. So right now we budget in the school system only for 1 year. Okay, where's my finger? There you go. So we budget only for 1 year at a time. And the school system is going to be shutting down next year. And so we have to think long term in multi-year budgeting. So what that gives us much more time to react rather than like, hey, I got to pass a budget because I got to use it next year, in the next couple of months. So don't take time to react. So multi-year budgeting and bottom-up budgeting are things which I'm trying to advocate for. So that is going to take care of our expenditure side. On the revenue side, we got to kind of work with our main stakeholders. And our main stakeholders who give us the main revenue are the county and then the state. So the county typically gives us about 65%, like about $1.15 billion, 750 million comes from the county and the rest comes from the state.
Okay.
And then there's something called as the MOE, or the maintenance of effort, which the county has to provide legally. Like they have to provide by law at least that amount. And that is the minimum that is needed to do whatever the state has mandated.
Right. Okay.
So, and we need to get more money above the MOE from the county so that we can do those special events like the GT and the strings. Those are not mandated by the state, but that's what makes us unique. So we need to kind of start getting that money. And the Howard County used to have 58% of Howard County's budget used to go towards the school system like 10 years ago. And now that percentage has gradually dropped down to 50%. Now that's a lot of money. It's just 8%, but that's a lot of money. That's
a lot of money, right? No, I understand that.
So we got to set the priorities of the county straight to make sure that they are funding the school system. So the unique and the special things that make Howard County so coveted continue. And at the same time, we got to figure out our expenses and then make sure we can use them diligently.
Okay.
So we got to balance both sides. Look at the expenses and also look at our revenue streams, and then make sure that we are doing our due diligence on both sides.
Do you have kids in the Howard County school system?
No, my kids were in the Howard County school system. They graduated a few years ago. Both my kids went through the from kindergarten to the 12th grade in Howard County school system. Then both of them graduated from University of Maryland. My son works for Nike Europe, and he's settled in Amsterdam. So next time we go to Amsterdam, we
so you don't have any kids in the Howard County education system, and so you're not running because you want to fix it for your own family as such. You're running to fix it for the families whose kids are going to go into the system, and you want to make sure they get the best of it, right?
That's correct. That's part of it. I mean, my kids had the benefit of the GT system and the string system, which we took for granted. And it's very sad to see that the kids who are entering the school system now don't have that, or those programs are under pressure. My kids had a very good school infrastructure, and they've been out for a few years now. And now you see the school system, the buildings are not as good as they used to be. There are plumbing problems, there are electrical problems, there are problems with the security, and the buildings are just crumbling.
So let me ask you this, Pravin. I'm hearing all the troubles, and I'm just wondering, the people who are sitting on the board today, right? Are they not interested? Are they not efficient? Are they not competent? Why are they not seeing the obvious issues that we have to have someone like Pravin go in there and try to address these problems? I'm sorry for asking such a tough question, but
that's good. That's a great thing. I mean, there are a lot of smart people. Let's put it this way. There are a lot of smart people on the board. There are 7 people on the board. Right now, I'm running from an open seat, so it's not like I'm trying to kick somebody out. I'm running on an open seat.
Okay.
Seven board members who are very, very smart. There are 9,000 educators in the school system who are very smart. They're teachers and central office and um, ESPs, which is the support personnel, education support person. So there's a lot of smart people. But the problem is everybody is looking at their own little domain and nobody's looking at the bigger picture.
Hmm.
We have to look at the bigger picture because we are trying to make sure that we are taking care of the priorities of the school system. We are taking care of the revenue. We are taking care of the expenditure. And
Hmm.
we are giving each and every kid the opportunity to excel themselves. We
Hmm.
need to give them the resources that to excel themselves. And it all comes back to, are you running on a single point agenda? Are you running for yourself? Are you running just because that's the right thing to do? Just because as a taxpayer, you need to make sure that your money is spent wisely.
Right. Yeah, I think that's what I want to commend you and everyone who is watching the show, listening to the show, as well as the people who are interacting with you and getting to talk to you, is that Praveen is doing this thing selflessly, right? Because he doesn't have kids in the system. His kids have moved on. He can take a back seat and say, "Chalne do jo chal raha hai, theek hi hai." It's like, why should I spend my money and everything to go in there? But all the thing that you're seeing, Praveen, is paining you, right? Is causing that pain. That why is someone not fixing this?
Right.
These things are obvious. Why the obvious is not being looked? And I would urge everyone from the Howard County, Indian, non-Indian, whoever is watching and supporting that, support Praveen for this thing. If you want to get the voice into the system, get Praveen in there so that we can start addressing this thing. And someone who's doing it selflessly, nothing better than that, right? Because you don't have like, okay, ek baar mere bacche nikal jayenge, so then I'm done and I'll move on kind of a thing.
So even if you don't have kids in the system, I mean, I'm talking to all the people who are the voters. Even if you don't have kids in the system, 50%, half of your property tax is going towards the school system. So you are paying for the school system, even though you are not your kids are not in the school system. Indirectly, you're paying. And your home values are dependent on how well or how bad your school system is doing. I mean, in Howard County, we pay a premium for some of the school districts because the schools are doing well and your home prices are like a couple of $100,000 more compared to another piece of Howard County for the exact same house where the school is not doing so well. So whether you have kids in the school system or not, if you live in Howard County, you are impacted, your property values are impacted, and your taxes are impacted. So you should be involved in the school system. If not directly, at least get out and vote. It doesn't have to be for me. Get out and vote for the person you think can fix it.
Yeah, exactly. The fixing is the biggest thing, right? And
Right.
in the past, Praveen, I've heard, and I live in Montgomery County, so it's the same issue here also. Is about the whole redistricting. Like all of a sudden, the bunch of homes get built, etc., and then you go to the redistricting, and you suddenly think that you were in this good school system versus this school system, and you move to a different school system. How do you plan to address the whole redistricting and the pain behind it?
Right. So I mean, it's a much bigger issue than that. I mean, there is something called as APFO, which is Advocate Public Facilities Ordinance. So
Okay.
whenever you build a house, you are supposed to be the APFO committee is supposed to look at and say like, hey, if I put in 100 houses in here, do I have the infrastructure that is needed to support the 100 houses in terms of road, in terms of sewage, in terms of offices, in terms of shopping centers, in terms of schools. Obviously, schools is a big part. So APFO needs to be strengthened. Right now, APFO is not as strong as we need, and there's a developers lobby which is basically wanting to build a whole ton of houses. So we need to strengthen APFO. That way, we don't have the problem of school overcrowding. But you strengthen APFO today, the impact comes up 10 years from now.
Correct. Yeah.
So that being done, So we need to look at the school capacities every single year, not kind of kick the can down the road and say like we'll take it next year because it's very uncomfortable. So we should look at it every single year and say like, hey, this school is going over 100%. The school capacity is going over 100% next year. What are we going to do to fix it?
Hmm.
Am I going to move a couple of students or one little segment from this school to this second to new school so that we don't go over capacity? And when you do those micro adjustments, you can give the option to the people who are already in the school system to complete in the same school system or go to another school. So let's say you are a sophomore and we figure out like, nah, we can't handle next year, we can't handle 100 students more which are going to come. So people who are already a sophomore there, they get a chance like, hey, you want to continue with the same school?
Mhm.
Or do you want to go to the new school because there is no capacity here?
Mhm.
Anybody coming in, any freshman coming in will go to the new school. So that way you're not disrupting any students midway through their 4 or 5 year of cycle within the elementary schools or middle schools or high schools.
Right. That's a great idea. That's a great thought. It's like someone needs to think that through and push that through, right?
Absolutely. Again, there's nothing rocket science. It's just common sense. Unfortunately, common sense is not as common as we want it to be. The second thing is we need to stop gerrymandering of the school districts. Just like the political district, the school districts are very, very gerrymandered. So there
Hmm.
are situations where kids passed two schools and go to a third school to attend because of gerrymandering. And gerrymandering is typically done for window dressing to make
Hmm.
sure
Hmm.
the school is doing, on an average, the school is doing good because we got some very rich kids, some very poor kids, somebody who's doing well, somebody is not doing well. But on an average, we are all good here.
Hmm.
So there's a
Hmm.
lot of gerrymandering that goes on, and we got to stop the gerrymandering. And that is my proposal: is go back to the concept of neighborhood schools.
Hmm.
You live in this 1 mile radius, you go to this school, no matter what.
Hmm. Hmm.
So,
Hmm.
and once we are able to bring all the schools up to the same level of performance, all same high level of performance, there would be a lot more less resistance to moving for the kids to move around. If school A and school B are both equally good, yeah,
Right.
I understand. I don't mind going from school A to school B, given that hey, if I'm in the schools, if I'm already in the school, I'll finish in. If I'm in school A, I'll finish in school A. But if I'm starting new, you'll go to school B.
Right. Right.
That's something we can do. I mean, again, stop gerrymandering is my big thing, and let kids complete the school with their join.
So, Praveen, a lot of good thoughts, a lot of good points. And all of those things are only possible if we find a way to get you into the system.
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah,
All thoughts will have no value and no push as such if we don't find way to get Praveen a seat into the BOE for Howard County District 1.
that's right.
Right?
Right.
So, what can the community do for you? And this is your opportunity to reach out to them, shout out, and say, please, guys, this is your opportunity to put me into BOE. And I'm also going to say Indian, the first generation Indian into the BOE because you're getting that voice that I'm sorry for being saying that, but you're getting that Indian voice into the system, and you
Absolutely.
got like 5,000, 6,000 Indians in the Howard County area. So they all need to find a way to support you. So what can we as a community do to help support you?
So there are a couple of things. I mean, talk to your neighbors, talk to your friends, and tell them that I'm running. You don't have to vote for me. Look at what my ideas are. Look at what I have done in the past. Look at my vision for the future, and then if you like it, vote for me.
Yeah.
But be involved. The first thing is be involved. Let your friends and families and neighbors know that we need to be involved. The second thing is if you like what you're hearing, put a yard sign in your yard that to show support. So that kind of gives indication to everybody around, like, hey, there is a guy who's running, and I know him better. I know him well, and I support him. So put a yard sign. Volunteer for the campaign. Even if you have a couple of hours to door knock, please volunteer. And you can send me an email, or you can go on my website and my phone number and my emails are there. And my website is my name, pravinponnuri.com. pravinponnuri.com. So you can get all the contact info and donate. If you can't do any of this, please donate, because every campaign needs some money, and whatever you can donate, every single dollar helps.
Yep. So that's another thing that I want to basically help people understand is it doesn't really matter which county you are in. You are supporting Pravin Ponnuri for the Howard County District 1, but if you're sitting in Frederick County, you're sitting in Montgomery County, and you have some availability of time to go and do some work and volunteer for Pravin, you can do that. There's no requirement that you have to be residing in that county. That's correct, right, Pravin? So I can, it's like put the signage. I can understand they have to put the signage in the area they're living so
Right.
that it can impact. If they're talking to the neighborhood, it makes sense that someone who's living in Howard County. But if you want to start sticking out the mailers when he is writing the letters and the envelopes have to be filled out, the mailers have to be put, the stamps have to be put, the mailing has to be completed.
Right.
That thing, anybody from anywhere can do it. So if you want to get connected with Pravin, you want to help out, kids can get volunteer hours, I'm sure, for doing that. So get involved. Pravin is already getting involved. He took that big step of running for this office. We can, at the minimum, get involved in helping him out, right? So, guys, step up, guys. And we have a huge Indian community. Let's show that strength. Let's show that support that we can make it happen.
Absolutely. Yep. I mean, this is home. I mean, whether you like it or not, we've been here for a long time. We took up the citizenship because we want to be here.
Right.
Home. I do understand, most of us were born in India, but we are hearing here. So like, एक होती है माँ, एक होती है बीवी. दोनों का ख्याल रखना पड़ता है. You have to take care of your motherland, and you also have to take care of your adopted country.
Exactly.
You can't say like, oh, I don't care about this, I'm going to go back. No, it doesn't work that way.
Yeah.
Living here, let's take care of this place and be involved.
Yeah. So if your kids are also not in the system or anything, right? Like as Pravin's kids are not in the system, but he's trying to do something to fix the system. Same way, if your kids are not in the system, doesn't mean that you get outside that and say, "Hamara to kaam ho gaya, aage soche," kind of a thing. Get involved, get engaged. Let Pravin be your voice into the system. All you have to do at the minimum is show that support. And Pravin, how can they pick up the signage to put it in their yards, etc.?
So, if you want a signage and you live in District 1, which is most of Ellicott City, Elkridge, and Hanover, just email me or text me or call me. Just connect with me, and somebody from our team will drop off a yard sign in your yard. So you don't even have to get out of your home. We will take care of it. Just contact us.
Mm-hmm.
But if you would like to volunteer some more, just contact us, and then we can give you a list of doors, the homes that we would like you to knock on in your own neighborhood, so that way you don't have to go too far.
Right. Okay. So guys, get involved. Pravin, thank you so much. I hope we can get this message out. We'll be more than happy to bring you back on the show, do more and more discussion on it, get your voice out there, because I want to say to the community, and I want to say on my behalf, I'm behind you, Pravin.
Thank you.
I will do anything. I will be out there to volunteer for you. I'll come there to stick the envelopes and lick it and seal it, whatever is required. But to see someone go out there, put their head in to help the community, and all we have to do is support you, which is not a difficult thing to do.
Absolutely.
So you're going to vote no matter what, and you're going to vote for somebody no matter what. Why not Pravin Ponnuri? Pravin Ponnuri should be your person that you want to put the name to, unless you have a very good, solid reasoning for not doing that. And if you have any reasoning for not doing that, this is the time to go reach out to him and say, Pravin, I'm not convinced that I want to vote for you. Talk to me and tell me why I should vote for you. Don't hold it to yourself. Don't hold it inside. Say, "Arey nahi yaar, jo bhi suna pasand nahi aaya. I don't want to do it. He didn't address that. Maybe he didn't address that here or sometime other times.
Right.
Reach out to him. Call Pravin and say, Pravin, I want to vote for you, but I'm not convinced. Convince me to vote for you. And if Pravin doesn't feel that he can convince someone, then he's not ready to run for BOE. But I know he's so solid that he will make you understand why he wants to be the part of the system.
So you're right. I mean, we have a very solid agenda, and everything's based on common sense things which we all grew up with. Education is very important, and we want to train our kids and prepare our kids for real life. So that's very important. So I got a very common sense agenda, but we have a very strong agenda. So reach out to me if you have any questions. I will be more than happy to talk to you and clarify my agenda in more detail, because not everything can be put on website. But all there.
Exactly.
The most important thing I want to say is we got to vote in the primaries. Most of us feel that primaries are not important and we will just vote in November. But no, you have to vote in the primaries. We have to get through the primaries to get to the general election. So primaries are as important as the general election. So right now, the primaries, the early voting is from May 2nd to May 9th.
Okay.
And the election date is May 14th.
Okay.
And a lot of us have already requested for absentee ballots or mail-in ballots. And the mail-in ballots will be coming out in the next day or two. So by August 1st week or August 8th, 9th, you should be getting your mail-in ballots if you requested one. So fill in your mail-in ballots. If you've not had a mail-in ballot, do early voting. If you can't do early voting from May 2nd to May 9th, make sure you get out on election day, which is on May 14th. But primaries are as important as general election, if not more.
Yep. That's a very, very, very good point. So the month of May is the critical month for us to go out and vote, to make the primaries happen for Pravin so that he can run and move forward for the November election, for the general election there, and then help Pravin win that election too. If any questions, reach out to Pravin. Call me if you need to. If you want to do more sessions, we'll be more than happy to bring and answer your questions if you have specific questions. But until that, Pravin, wishing you all the best. Thank you so much for coming on this show. And we just want to make sure that you get in there and help address these issues.
Thank you, Rajiv. Really appreciate your support. Thank you very much for doing this.
Thank you. Bye. Until next time. Thank you, friends. And in the coming weeks, I'll be joining you again with more and more programs. So I plan to bring one next week and a week after. So मेरे साथ जुड़े रहिए, मेरे साथ बंधे रहिए, लेके आऊंगा आपके लिए और गुफ्तगू आने वाले हफ्तों में. तब तक के लिए सायोनारा, टाटा, बाय बाय. मिलेंगे आने वाले हफ्तों में. बाय.